like to put it that way. Thanks for being there, Ash. I appreciate it.
Are we ready?
Sure. Okay. Whenever you are.
I'm going to call the meeting to order. Please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call. Sam Martin? Here. Martha Eldridge? Here. Rick Morgan's here. Public input. Anybody have anything under public input? Great.
Yes, so the Ossipee Rec Department is going to be applying for a grant through the Lowe's Charitable Foundations in the hopes of receiving funds for a playground at Constitution Park. Right here I have the plans that I'd like to just present it to the board. It's option 2, so it's the one that's highlighted.
Okay.
So we're going to be asking for $25,000. That will cover majority of it. There'll still be $2,238 that will come out of the rec department's operating budget,
okay,
which we do have money for.
Yep.
And then if anyone would like to see those plans, we have a bulletin board out here in the lobby now for the rec department, and they can. I get them electronically. Yeah, I can email it to you.
Get them up on the website.
Okay. Well. Yeah.
Good.
I'll email it to you before we leave. So it's due May 11th. I'm done with it, so I don't know exactly how long it'll take for us to hear back, but.
Okay, when you say you've applied, process-wise, you probably ought to bring a copy of that grant application in for us to vote on.
Okay.
Go ahead. I mean,
yeah,
especially we don't want to miss the deadline. I know we knew you were going to do it, but we ought to make a formal vote to allow you to apply for that grant.
Okay.
I think for process.
Yeah,
okay?
I haven't submitted it yet.
Okay. So if you can just make sure for next Monday night's meeting that we have. That we can,
okay,
that's something we can look at and vote on, okay?
Okay.
But other than that, I think it's great. We're at Constitution Park.
If you look at where the snack shack is, there's like a couple trees there.
Yep.
It'll be on the other side of those trees, so away from the traffic.
Okay, good. It'll be a great addition to the park. Anybody else have anything under public input?
Can I ask a question about that?
Sure.
So when you put this together, the playground, did you look at the master plan that the town had for Constitution Park?
No, because grant funds is going to pay for it.
Who?
Grant funds will pay for it.
They'll pay for the playground.
Yeah,
right?
but if you look at like the
master, with the master plan specified, or
so, just I understand what both of them are saying. It's not the master plan, it's the charrette and the plan to Constitution Park that was once drawn.
Yes.
Which
I think what you from twice, I think.
We have, and
okay,
I think what Dallas is asking is if we did this playground, does he have the plans of Constitution Park and is he following them? If not, I can't, that would be a follow-up question.
All I can tell you is those original plans, which were drawn up for the park, have been deviated from completely. The tennis courts are where the tennis courts weren't supposed to be, and the soccer field is where the soccer field wasn't supposed to be. So I guess what as far as over there, that particular area that he's talking about would not interfere with the final plan, which was for additional ballpark, which would be down in where now is the parking area. So I think the location that he's talking about being would be fine. Does that answer everything?
I'm good.
Okay. Anybody else have anything under public input?
I might suggest providing him with those old plans, just so you can see. At one time, the town had these wonderful plans drawn of what Constitution Park would be.
I think you already have them, don't you?
I've seen them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I looked through them all. They're very outdated.
Yeah.
Like it would have to be because
Haven't seen them in years.
On a side note, we have this past year had extensive talks with Brad Harriman and Craig about Constitution Park and the need to really start to pay some attention to that. The first area that we've got Brad working on, which I think has to be done before we can do anything else over there, is improving the water system. There's a well over there now that will not provide anywhere near enough water to irrigate grass. And so we've got a ball field over there that we struggle with constantly trying to keep decent grass on, and the soccer field, which is at this point in really, really tough condition, and all of that area sits on top of sand. Feet and feet and feet and feet and feet of sand. So you've got to be able to water grass. And we've got Brad working on that, looking at the plans, the current well that's over there, as well as possibly a cistern system or something for a water holding in order to be able to have enough water to generate good grass. I'm not in favor, as I've said before, I'm not in favor of spending thousands and thousands of dollars to resod the soccer field, which it needs desperately, until we can water it. And so we are working on it. And we've had extensive meetings with Brad and Craig about trying to get something done over there, because it needs some attention. And it's a piece of land that we're utilizing, but I don't think we're utilizing anywhere near to the potential that we could be utilizing. Anybody else have anything else under public input? If not, we'll delve into the red folder. The minutes of the Selectmen's meeting, which occurred on Monday, April 2nd. I'll make a motion we accept them as printed.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. We have the minutes of the Selectmen's work session, finance meeting, and non-public session, which occurred on Monday, April 2nd. I make a motion we accept them as printed.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We have check voucher totals. Payroll for week ending 4/7 was $40,941.16. We had accounts payable for week ending 3/31 in the amount of $44,913.86, for a total of $85,855.02. Additionally, we had water and sewer accounts payable that we track separately in the amount of $4,112.38. I make a motion we sign.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. These are again just the batch totals. We have a multi-phase review of all the bills before it gets to this point. This is when it's put into batches for accounting purposes. We have a payroll reimbursement request for water and sewer, amount of $3,308.72. I make a motion we sign.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. We have the recycling daily cash log showing we collected $3,199.95 in the month of March. We have a request for abatement. This is one that we've mentioned, I think, a couple of weeks ago, that we've had our assessor working on, and this is to do with Agape Ministries. It's the building which is across from the pizza barn. It's the old little strip mall, and there's a portion of the building which is a small chapel. There's a portion of the building that's used for a food pantry, and then there's a portion of the building that's used as a thrift store. It had been the position of the owners that they were entitled to an exemption as a charitable organization. Our assessor disagreed. We went to the Board of Land and Tax Appeals, and they sided with the town that they did not qualify for exemption. We have administratively, over the last few years, been abating the portion of the taxes on the portion of the building which is a chapel, and on the portion of the building which is used as a food pantry, with the true belief that what they do is a public good to a good many Ossipee residents. So we've had the assessor separate those things out, which results in this abatement. So the original assessment was $358,800. The revised assessment is $320,900, for a difference of $37,900, or a refund or abatement of $814.85. I make a motion we approve it.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. We definitely want to be fair to them, but we also have an obligation to all of the taxpayers to make sure it's done legally and correctly. We have a notice of intent to cut. This is on map 268, lot 5 on Route 28. It's a 43-acre parcel of land, 40 acres to be cut. The taxes have been paid. The owner is Peter McFarland. The logger is Arthur Wood. No surprise he's a logger. I make a motion we approve it.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. We have a report of timber cut. This is on map 216, lot 11, 14, 218, and 33, which authorizes our tax collector to collect $1,298.69. I make a motion to sign. All in favor?
Aye.
We have a notice of intent to excavate. This is on map 234, lot 4. It's Green Oak Realty Trust. Copy of a letter that was sent by our assessor. Because the property taxes had not been filed, they had to post a bond in the amount of $1,210, which is required per RSA 72B5. They have paid the bond. I make a motion we approve it.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We have a notice of intent to cut wood. This is on map 18, lot 11, Route 16. 28-acre parcel, 20 acres to be cut. Harry Merrow is the owner. Greenleaf Products is the logger. Taxes have been paid. I make a motion we approve it.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We have several. We'll do them one at a time. First is a application for a veterans exemption. It's been reviewed by the assessor. Person meets the requirements. I make a motion we approve it.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Second is an application for veterans exemption, been reviewed by the assessor, meets the requirements. I make a motion we approve it.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
This one is an application for veterans exemption, been reviewed by the assessor, and he's recommended that we deny as the person is not an Ossipee resident. I make a motion we deny.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
An application for veterans exemption which has been reviewed by the assessor. The person meets all the requirements. I make a motion we approve it.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Another application for a veterans exemption which has been reviewed by our assessor. The person meets all the requirements. I make a motion we approve it.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
This is a form letter which will be sent out as part of that time of year when taxes are due, and we have people who are falling on, coming up to the point where they've owed more than 3 years in back taxes, that the town is in a position to take the property. Consistent with a policy which we established now 3 years ago, I'm going to read this letter, and it's to the taxpayer. The selectmen of the town of Ossipee are required to continuously address the issue of unpaid property taxes, and in an effort to better serve all taxpayers, we have determined that some changes need to be made when entering into a payment agreement with taxpayers who are delinquent with their property taxes. 1, taxpayers are required by law to pay property taxes to support municipal services in our community. When they fall behind on their property taxes, it shifts the burden onto their neighbors who do pay their taxes to keep the local community running. As your selectmen, we do not want to create any additional hardship on a taxpayer, but your taxes must be paid. To ensure everybody pays their fair share, we have established the following policy. Payment plans will normally be authorized on a taxpayer's property that they reside in only. Payment plans will not normally be authorized on land-only lots or lands and buildings that the property owner does not reside in. Payment plans must include not only the year of delinquent taxes to prevent the tax collector from issuing a tax collector's deed, but also the current year's taxes plus interest to prevent the taxpayer from continuing to accrue new tax debt. Should the taxpayer fail to meet their obligation as agreed with the Board of Selectmen, the Selectmen will have no alternative than to instruct the tax collector to issue a tax collector's deed for the subject property of the town of Ossipee. I make a motion, we sign it.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. The policy has been working. We have seen a decrease year after year in the number of properties that we're being forced to take. And I can tell you, as a member of this board, and I'm sure it's true of the others as well, there is nothing on earth I would rather not do than take somebody's property for taxes. But there is an obligation to everybody that we get to the bottom of it. When we stopped, we had people, as a, for instance, who live out of state, who are renting houses up here, who aren't paying their property taxes, and then would look for some sort of a payment arrangement. And surprisingly, or not surprisingly, I guess, when we stopped allowing that, then it was amazing how quickly they came up with the money before we took the property. So it's not to be mean, but we do have an obligation to try to be fair to everybody. And it's a policy I think is making things better. We have a letter from the Department of Revenue Administration, and it's regarding the cyclical monitoring for 2017. They do is they go through and they check certain properties. They pick and choose properties and then see how well the property is as compared to our assessing data. All three of them that they chose came back well within. In fact, they found no problems on the majority. See if anybody'd like to look at it. We have a memo from Brad Harriman regarding a retaining wall along the Town Hall parking lot. Billy has worked up a quote to install an Allen block style retaining wall along the northwest side of the Town Hall parking lot. Total price of the materials is $2,747.04 plus the deposit, which will be refunded on the balance. This would be the same type of retaining wall as we put at the end of Door Street and several other places.
Yep,
up on Moulton Road.
Up front.
Yep. I think it's a great idea. Did you had a chance to look at it? And this would be this whole area right out here where the bank is sloping.
Right in the corner, right to the bottom.
Yeah. Will we be able to cut that back at all, Billy, when we put the wall up?
Yeah, we're gonna dig it back a little bit, and we're gonna go right at the edge of the pavement. We're missing about a foot of pavement out there right now, covered up with dirt, so. We'll bring it right to our pavement, and that's what it'll go. I'm gonna communicate with the landlord next door. Yeah.
All right, I make a motion that they be allowed to go ahead with the installation of the Allen block wall. All in favor? Aye. Fine. Good. I think it'll be a lot better. Memo from Brad. This is from Water and Sewer regarding the connection fees. We met with Brad last week regarding connection fees for new connections to the water and sewer, which will establish a connection fee for residential of $1,500 for up to 3 bedrooms and $500 per bedroom above the 3. Multifamily development, apartments and condos, the same as above except for each unit, and a commercial of $2,500. This is only for new construction, new connections. Anything that was ever connected to the water and sewer system in the past is not bound to that. Thoughts?
We pretty much discussed that last week.
We did.
Agreed with it, yeah.
Anybody have anything? I'll make a motion that we adopt this as a policy for new hookups only.
Sorry.
No, it's appropriate now.
I just have a question.
Yeah.
I mean, it sounds very reasonable. How does that compare to the surrounding neighborhoods?
Actually, they did a comparison. We've got a bunch of towns and a bunch of towns around us that we looked at, that they provided the information for. There are a couple of towns which are still less than that, but the vast majority are more than that. So I think it's a fair price. Anything else? I made the motion.
You second it?
All in favor? Aye. We have a notice of a planning board decision. This is on map 18 case number 18-1-SPR. Final site plan review on self-storage on Route 16. Here if anybody'd like to look at it. We got copied a letter which doesn't necessarily make a lot of sense to me other than it involves the Twin Bridge project up in West Ossipee. Evidently the state is going through a bit of difficulty negotiating the use of land for the construction itself. And this is on it's a notice of office to purchase, which is filed by the DOT for a construction easement. And they haven't been able to come to an agreement with the owner, but it's here in the folder if anybody'd like to look at it. We have an email from Spectrum, which is a cable company. It's late this summer, Spectrum will be upgrading TV service in our area to provide you with superior picture quality, more entertainment options, and more HD programming. Once the upgrade is to 100% digital TV occurs, all TV channels will be delivered digitally in an encrypted format. This means that all televisions without the proper equipment from Spectrum will be unable to display the encrypted TV service once this upgrade is complete. Our priority is to ensure our customers do not experience any disruption to their TV service. To this end, Spectrum Enterprise representative will be contacting you soon to make certain you will be able to continue to enjoy Spectrum in affiliated municipal school buildings, etc., etc. To ensure a smooth transition, Spectrum is providing courtesy equipment for a promotional time. Spectrum government/education account representatives will be able to provide additional information. As always, feel free to contact if you have any questions. I presume that's going to affect all of us. This is more designed for the municipal buildings, but we have a copy of a letter which went out to Ossipee Lake abutters regarding our upcoming treatment of milfoil and the sites that it's going to be addressing. It's here in the folder if anybody'd like to look at it. You have the Highway Department work log for the first week of April, which is here. We have a letter of invitation from the Ossipee Aquifer Advisory Committee. They're having a pancake breakfast on May 5th here at the Town Hall at 8:30 in the morning. I presume they must have already have it posted out there, but it's here for anybody who'd like to look at it. We have a copy of a check from Casella Waste Systems for $2,197.85. Any idea what it's for?
I have to look at the sheet there to see.
Well, the thing that made me laugh when I reviewed this stuff upstairs, there's a letter from Casella that says, as you may have noticed, the checks you received from Casella Recycling have a different appearance. We've migrated to a new accounts payable system. Even after months of preparation, we have experienced a couple of glitches with the new system and are working to fix it. One of the issues being worked on is that our checks do not have pertinent information listed in the remittance. Until this is fixed, we are handwriting identifying information on the remittance portions of the check. And yet, this is a check that has absolutely nothing written on it, but this is the letter telling us why it's written on. So,
I believe it went out, I think I've checked with Bruce, but I believe we sent out a load of cardboard recently to him, so I'm assuming that that's what it's for.
we have a series of abatements which have been submitted. Water and sewer. This first one is on 1316 Route 16. It says the meter reading should have been 4,789.6, not 47,896. This one you've reviewed and it's okay. I make a motion we approve. All in favor? Aye. We have some others in here that I don't know that we have seen, or you have seen. But this first one is from 7 Arrowhead Drive. The request for abatement is that their water bill is too high. I've read the letter. It doesn't say a whole lot. And Bo, you have a notice on there that you disagree. Her water bill was $79.38 for the quarter. Is that for?
That's the water usage. I went down there and I talked to her and I checked for a leak, and she said different things to me than what she's told other people, and she used the water.
Do you know how many? What does that represent for gallons? $80.
That's what her total bill must be.
Yeah.
It's $5.89 a for 1,000, so
But after the base charge is what?
55. So it's $30-something over that. She,
Well, $55, that's the reason I asked that. It's only about $25 worth of water in a quarter. That's 5,000,
Yeah, exactly.
5,000 gallons, right?
Right, she normally only uses like 2,000 during the summer. In the summer, she used like 2,000 gallons. This winter, she used more. She was running her water, so it didn't freeze is what it was.
I don't see that they, did you get a chance to read the letter in a bit? It's on the back. I don't see that there's any rationale for abating it at this point. It appears that you use the water, right, wrong, or indifferent.
Normally, if it runs to the meter, normally you use the water. Yeah.
I'm gonna make a motion to deny this abatement. All in favor? Aye. These ones, I don't know that they've been reviewed by you, so I,
Okay.
somehow they've ended up in here. One is, it says it build the wrong map and lot, 20 Birch Tree Lane. Yeah, I just don't see anything, you haven't signed off on these, so I'm guessing you haven't seen them, so we'll make sure that Bo gets these and then gets back to us with a recommendation. Leaks the red bull. Old business, Brad, anything on covered bridge, 28-171, sidewalks?
Nothing on 171, 28, nothing on the sidewalks. I'm just assuming that White Mountain is working on the plans. They said they were going to start them this month here. The covered bridge, I did forward the information on that construction easement that I talked to you guys about last week down to our attorney for his review, to get that signed and everything, so we can get that part of that with the application there. So that's the status of that one.
Anything on the RFP for the vinyl siding at the,
Yes, I have all the specifications pulled together from Steve, and I actually talked to Brad this morning, trying to figure out whether we want to do a request for bids, which would require a full bid specification package, or if we're just gonna request proposals. So I guess that's the guidance that I'm looking for. Other than that, I have everything ready to go. And
I just think requesting proposals, I mean, we give enough to say this is what we want, we want siding on the house, we want the roof repaired.
yeah.
And then let the proposals come in. That's a whole lot easier than going through the task of doing detailed bid specs.
Right.
And then just review them when they come back.
That's my thought as well. And the same thing with the painting of the gym.
I would agree. Anything you want to add to that? I mean, I think RFPs are easier than doing bid specs.
I already have everything drafted up for the RFP. I just wanted to make sure you didn't want to throw bid specs out there,
Yeah,
so I can get those out tomorrow.
Good. We get those advertised. Anybody interested in the work, please put in a proposal. White Pond Boat Ramp, where do we stand on that? Anything?
Joe Kenny contacted me after the selectmen's meeting last week, and I forwarded the emails that I'd received, all the email correspondence that Brad and I have had, and he was going to try to get the commissioner, I believe the Fish and Game Commissioner, to go visit the boat ramp Wednesday, so
Okay.
I haven't heard anything back.
Okay. Good. Any other old business? Brad, anything?
One of the two is just to let you know, I did put out the request for proposals for our paving projects for this year. Went out today. So I picked the date of Monday, April 30th, to have the sealed bids come in. So I'll just let Ellen know so it gets on your agenda for that meeting there to be publicly open that night. Other than that, we're doing a little bit of work up on the dam gate up at Dan Hole Pond. Billy and the crew have been up there. We've got to install a new guard over the gate there, basically, because the old ones kind of got mutilated up there. So they've designed and fabricating new steel to go in there on that. So right now we've got the lake down low, so.
We have the pre-up date coming up April 21st.
April 21st, yep.
Please take advantage of that. It's on the website as well. No, it's on the website. Oh, have you noticed any, I presume you know that Jesse Lyman Fuel was bought by Eastern Propane. Jesse Lyman is the town's current contractor. Have you seen any change in service or?
I haven't.
Expected?
No, I haven't seen any change. They were down here today, fueling up again our tanks down here. I think the only real problem we had was this year was that communication with the employees getting the same rates and stuff. There was a lot of mix up in there. We didn't know why at the time, but I'm kind of assuming that's because they were in negotiations with Eastern during that time frame. So I think that's why.
I guess what I'm saying is I might encourage you to use some extra scrutiny on those bills coming in.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, obviously we have a contract with Jesse Lyman. They've been bought by another company, and I'm not presuming anything, but we need to be aware it's a sizable chunk of money that we pay in fuel in the course of the year. Let's make sure that that contract's being honored as part of the sale. So, anything else in the old business? Nothing new, old or new? There's still time on the veterans credit. It's nice to see some of them coming in that we approved tonight. Please get the word out to anybody and everybody that town meeting extended that veterans credit to all veterans. It entitles them to a $500 reduction in the tax bill, and we certainly encourage them to all get it applied. The deadline for application for this tax year is April 15th. So if you haven't done it, please do it.
15th is Sunday, so 16th.
So technically you get to the 16th because the 15th falls on a Sunday, but please do it. Public input. Anybody have anything else?
A couple things. What was the thing you spoke about getting bids on for the town for vinyl siding?
We're going to do request for proposal, and this is for the Sumner Brook Fish Hatchery. The building's down there. We're getting proposals to vinyl side the building as well as put metal roofs on.
Second thing, did I hear you right? All employees of the town get the propane price offered for the municipal buildings?
Not that I'm aware of.
I didn't hear that.
Oh, I thought I heard something about making sure the employees get the same price.
That's had been a policy in the past. I know one of our fellow employees this year had a hard time getting them to agree to it. But I think it got worked out that he was able to get that pricing.
This news to me, I never knew that employees got the same price.
Yeah.
Actually, we have the same company, same program, and they do give employees the same price.
News to me. I don't have to personally do business with them.
Right.
Certainly a benefit. Certainly a great benefit.
Well, I wonder, I've done meetings, the rest of the employees know that they can
that was
get
with
them.
Lyman's. Lyman's always did that.
Yes.
Yeah, Eastern might be a little different.
Third, last year we had raised money for the OCC building. Just wondering, with warmer weather coming, and I don't know if that's still moving forward, but I'm hoping that it is.
It's moving forward, but I'll tell you at a snail's pace. We need to get that finalized with our attorney, which is, I think I explained, we were in the review as to whether or not, how much we can legally do and be authorized by DRA. We need to get that back on the agenda. We do need to settle it. But I know before the air conditioning issue can be addressed, there's some significant electrical work that has to be done. And even that, I think, maybe even more important from a safety standpoint. So.
And as a reminder to me, the question was who is liable for those repairs, the lessor or the leasing, right?
Excuse me?
Was it OCC or the town? Is that the question?
The question is, it appears to us that it was modified by a previous Board of Selectmen. Initially, the lease was very clear. The town signed on to the grant for the town to get that. OCC did all the work, got the grant. The town agreed to take ownership, if you will, of the building, and OCC was to maintain the building virtually in its entirety. It appears that several years ago, a Board of Selectmen chose to change that and did a bunch of work on the building, which I've said over and over. I think OCC is hugely important to the quality of life of a whole bunch of us, especially our seniors. And I'm not opposed to doing that. However, it's got to be done legally and it's got to be done correctly. that's where the question has come. So I think initially it was very clear, and then it got really muddied by the decisions of some previous boards on what they chose to do. I'm not against doing it, but I want to make sure that it's legal and appropriate use of tax money. So that's where we were, and I'm still trying to get back to. But I agree with you. Sometimes it's one of those things, and that's why we've got a bunch of balls in the air right now, quite frankly, with trying to get this building finished up, and the issue down there at the fish hatchery concerns me deeply, because the paint on the walls of that building down there have flaked off and are now all over the ground. The obvious concern on a building of that age is the lead. And we are, whether we want to be or not want to be, we are the landlords of that property with a family that has young children. We have met and agreed that the best and the safest way to address that is to encapsulate it and vinyl side over the building so that it doesn't continue to shed paint chips all over the yard. So that's one of the things that we're working on and trying to get wrapped up. So we'll see. I do have one other thing that I had thought of as an idea that I want to float to, and I haven't talked with either one of you about. When we got talking about trying to increase the ability of people to participate in this meeting, what does anybody think about us answering questions that people would submit by email to Ellen prior to the meeting? To me, it's one of the things that we could do that should be fairly easy, so that if any resident had a question that they wanted to pose to the Board of Selectmen, if they emailed that question to the town hall prior to the meeting, we could then answer that question as best we can, based on what we get in written form, that they could then watch on government oversight. It seems as though it might be a way of connecting a couple of the dots.
My only suggestion with that is I would set requirements in place that say you have to say your name, it can't be anonymous.
Sure.
It has to have tax map and lot number, so that way it's all referenced and documented. Otherwise, you could get bombarded with a whole bunch of questions that may not be relevant.
There's a place on the website to do that. It's already there.
There's a place for a person to submit questions?
We get them.
Who gets them?
They come to me, they go to a general, like info@ossipee.org, but they get cycled into my inbox.
Okay, so I guess what
There
I'm
aren't
saying...
a whole lot of them that come in.
No, but what I'm saying is, what does anybody think about advertising that is a venue and an avenue, I guess, for people to have?
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah,
It's just that
let's
the
be-
mechanism is already there.
So if the mechanism's there, then it would simply be a case of us knowing about and having the question here to be able to answer. I mean, if it doesn't work, we can stop doing
There's
it.
a
I'm
spot
just-
that says contact us right on the website.
I mean, a lot of the stuff I don't even bring to you because it's stuff that I can answer on my own, or I can forward to a department head to answer. But if you're looking for something, I guess that's the push, is if you're looking for something that should be addressed before the Board of Selectmen.
They should, in the heading of in their subject line, should question for selectmen.
Sometimes it's difficult to answer what is in writing form if they're not really, really specific, but I just think it might be a way of being able to say to folks, you know, you can't make it to the meeting, submit a question, we'll answer it, and then they can watch our answer at their leisure. We'll see if it works. If it doesn't, try something else. That's
Good idea.
You may have anything else under public input? We have no need for public, non-public, correct?
We do not.
Oh, did you make a motion to seal? Do we have minutes?
No.
No, that's right.
Birthday on the 21st, Veterans Credit. I don't think there's anything else. I make a motion we adjourn.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Thank you.
Thank you.